Off your fucking boring.
That was an impression of Hayley from Love Island.
Saying "oh fuck off," which is "oh fuck off," which is the way we've linked Love Island with the campaign "Our Future, Our Choice," which we're going to talk about in a bit. We're big Love Island fans, aren't we, Shelley?
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
But it's
big fan of some of the characters.
Who's your favourite?
My favourite is obviously Alex, the doctor. Comrade Alex, as I like to call him.
Very good.
He's a junior. Well, he was a junior doctor, I believe. Went on strike, so clearly is a comrade.
My favourite was Hayley, I have to say, but she's gone. I'm gutted about it. We're not going to talk too much about Love Island before we've explained it to you.
Yes.
Because we know that some of our audience are going to be addicted to the show like we are. But some of you won't know what the fuck we're talking about unless we explain it to you.
If you've been living under a rock.
But just like people who don't really follow football but need to know, kind of what's going on so you can have a conversation so you feel part of society, I count myself among one of those people.
But you enjoyed the game tonight.
I enjoyed the game, yeah. I don't know anything about it. Aaron had to explain to me who the different players were.
He knows a lot, actually.
He knows a lot, yeah. He's very good at these kind of things. He doesn't know anything about Love Island, though.
Ah, well.
Disappointment. Anyway, you're going to hear all about Love Island later. First of all, we're going to talk about some more traditional topics for Tisky Sour. But first of all, I'm going to introduce you properly.
Oh, yeah.
Shelly Asquith.
Yes.
Love Island superfan. Unite Supremo. You used to be NUS's officer for...
welfare. Yeah. No, thanks for having me on.
Pleasure. Always a pleasure. We've just had an Indian takeaway, some beers. I've just switched to coffee because hopefully that's going to bring my vocabulary back to a reasonable level to host a YouTube podcast. Did you enjoy the football, Shelley?
I loved it. Yeah.
We were
looking out for the talent, weren't we?
We were looking. Yeah, we were looking out for the talent. What we were talking about actually through quite a lot of it. Oh, Shelley, can you have the mic closer, please?
Yeah, sure.
I've just got that.
Shall I move
message through
to
me?
That's fine.
We were discussing whether we think each player has their own personal stylist.
Oh yeah, because their hair is so neatly done, and you'd think that like running around, it'd be a bit more messy, but excuse the pun. But they all look really. I
only just got the pun. Messi, like the most famous footballer in the world. Sick. Thank God I watch a football game once a year so I can take part in this conversation to a minimum degree.
Yeah, but we thought we could be quite good football commentators because it is quite basic, the stuff that they come out with, isn't it?
Yeah, I think if we did a Goggle box, we'd be fine because what they call commentators. So this is vocabulary is coming back. It's coming back. That coffee's kicking in. It tends to just be things like, well, if they scored another goal now, that would make it closer.
Yeah.
Or there was that free kick where he said it went up too high and it didn't go down.
Oh, yeah,
it didn't go down enough.
Oh, he just missed out.
It's fucking easy. These people get paid loads to do this.
Do they?
You know how much I have to research for a show and they just get to say the ball goes up and down? Bonkers.
Oh, career right there.
We're going to start with Labour Live.
Labour Live.
I wasn't there.
So much fun.
But you had a great time, right?
I had such a good time.
What happened? What were the highlights?
Well, I mean, there was a lot going on. There was obviously the music. Clean Bandit were
There was obviously the music.
Obviously the music. But
Name more than 3 bands. Come on, Shelley.
We had Jermaine Jackman. We had Levi Roots. We had the Magic Numbers. I said Clean Bandit.
Oh, you did. That was good. That was 4.
We had the guy from Sex Pistols. So, but what people seemed to be there for, and I suppose it's not really a surprise, was the politics. They had the Solidarity tent, which had all the trade union activity, People's Question Time in there, absolutely packed out. We had Unite Hip Hop Karaoke as well, which I have to give a plug to. Absolutely brilliant, especially when Len took to the mic.
What did he sing?
I can't remember actually. I mean, he didn't really sing. He more just sort of danced as Jermaine and Dawn Butler were singing. But it was a sight.
That's still quite good for General Secretary of the UK's largest trade union.
Absolutely.
You know,
yeah.
Maybe he can't rap, but if he dances to hip hop karaoke,
expect
that's kind of good
everything,
enough for
can we
us,
now?
right?
Yeah,
that's good.
And then there was the literary tent as well, which went down the tree. I know Aaron spoke in there at some point. Despite obviously everything the media was coming out with, playing it down, saying it was an absolute flop, it was brilliant. The tents were packed out. You know, Jeremy's speech, I'm sure you've seen the photos, thousands of people there to listen to him. The rain held out for us as well. I had a brilliant time. I had a really, really good time. And everyone I've spoken to had a really fun time as well. So
yeah, so obviously I I mean, the vision behind it was to try and recreate those crowds at Glastonbury last year. Also, I mean, there's a big discussion about how to make the Labour Party a cultural phenomenon. And I think this was an example of that, of an attempt at that.
Yeah, it's an important move. And I think, obviously, you're never going to recreate the crowds that you get at Glastonbury, because people go to a Labour Party event for different reasons than what they would go to Glastonbury. And, you know, there's always next year, but we didn't have Beyonce or, you know, the kind of headlines you get at Glasgow. But it was great, and I hope that they continue doing things like it.
Do you know the Red Raw?
I do, yeah.
So the Red Raw, for anyone who doesn't know, it's like Guido Fawkes, but for the Labour right.
Yeah.
So they'll break stories, actually often on people like Aaron, because they really don't like people on the Labour left, and they're often trying to trash them. But they tweeted on the day, "Oh, we can smell some marijuana."
Oh my
Maybe
goodness.
someone set fire to the
Were they there then?
the drug amnesty. Well, presumably someone behind
Red through their like MacBook.
No, I'm sure one of them turned up to take some photos which featured more people than they were initially hoping.
Yeah, absolute bitterness.
To be fair to the mainstream media, trashing it before it happened, I think, was not entirely unreasonable. It was a festival
I think it made
with a
have
20,000.
well.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm starting to think, because
it was hugely ambitious.
It was a venue with 20,000. It was too expensive, and for a while, only 2,000 tickets have been bought. It looked like it was going to be a flop. But I've got a conspiracy theory about the Labour Party leadership.
Okay.
I think they are obsessed with proving the media wrong. And so what they do is every big project, every big event that's coming up, they, for a little while, make it look like it's going to go
really
horribly.
Badly, yeah.
So like the general election, Corbyn wasn't that good at first. He said the wrong thing. The Vice documentary, I think, was actually, it was part of the plan to get the mainstream media to take the piss and to say this party is hopeless, it's going to go nowhere.
Yeah.
And then, they smashed it out in the last 2 weeks, and it completely proved them wrong. The same with this Labour Live festival.
So maybe John McDonnell was actually briefing the media that it was going to go really badly, knowing he had clean bandit up his sleeve.
I think John McDonnell, I think the tickets were going to be a tenner, and John McDonnell said no, put it to 35 until the week before it happens. And I think someone was about to call Stormzy, and John McDonnell said, "Ooh, let's get clean bandit 2 days before the event happens." That's going to trick them. Crafty man,
I like this theory of yours.
I think it's true.
I look forward to seeing what comes out of it next.
As I say, the fact that the media beforehand thought it was going to be a flop, I think, is forgivable. They fell for this trap that the Labour Party have got so expert at setting. What was less forgivable is their refusal to change the message afterwards.
Yeah, the post-Labour Live coverage has been a joke, really.
Any key examples? I mean, I'm the one with the laptops, so it's going to be easy for me. But
for the few, not the many, which led with the sort of 10 people holding up a banner about Brexit, despite there being many people there to hear Jeremy Corbyn speak.
So we've got that on the screen now. Oh. The subheading is actually better than the title. Jezfest got off to a slow start, but revolution was in the... Oh, can we get that back up? Revolution was in the air. At least
marijuana was in
for people who want to stop Brexit. I don't know. I can't see that was the gist of it. You just saw it. You could have read it then. Yeah. If you didn't pay attention, it's your fucking fault. Right, there we go.
You can Google it.
Jezfest got off to a slow start, but revolution was in the air among Remainers challenging Corbyn's Brexit stance.
I mean, I was there watching it. I didn't see their banner. I mean, fair play to them. Obviously got some good coverage out of it, but I mean, it's not really representative analysis of what happened on the day. So
yeah, I mean, what I was thinking about it is it used to be, when I used to be like a little social movement activist, you used to have to do something really ambitious with a banner to get some media coverage.
On the stage.
You had to break, so people would break into Parliament and they'd drop a banner off sort of like Big Ben or whatever, or you'd have to break into some shareholder AGM, set off a load of rape alarms on balloons.
Smash up Millbank.
Oh, good segue.
Which is interesting because we've discovered, I think Aaron discovered it earlier, that the people holding up the banner, they're from the organisation called OFOC.
OFOC.
Or fuck off.
Or fuck off.
Or they're from FFS. I'm not sure what the difference is. So there's FFS, which is For Our Future's Sake, obviously a wordplay on For Fuck's Sake. And then there's OFOC. And they seem to be the same thing because they retweet each other all the time. And from what I can see, it's sort of led by some of the people I used to work with in NUS, in like the student movement. So we've kind of gone from the student movement smashing up Millbank to being based in Millbank because that's where their offices are. Is that right?
That is right.
With another organisation called Europe.
So we can get this up as well. So there's something called the European Movement, and they have a shared headquarters where they have they've called it grassroots, but basically it's quite an establishment organisation, and they let all these supposedly grassroots campaigns work from those offices. We can also get some of the patrons up.
Oh, here we go.
So the chair of this
I love that
grassroots group, European Movement, is
look.
one Stephen Dorrell.
See, I hadn't heard of him.
Neither had I, but I Wikipedia'd him today. It's a great website. He was he was the health secretary under John Major. And
there's a few others. Heseltine, isn't there?
Heseltine was on the list. Paddy Ashdown.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
There's a few establishment figures, basically.
Lots of lords.
A lot of lords.
So you were saying earlier, weren't you, that it was ironic that the student movement used to be the rebels. It used to be the anti-establishment movement that was outside Millbank, starting fires and smashing the windows to try and get in, and now they're invited in by ex-Tory health ministers.
I don't know if that's fair. I think the student movement is still very anti-establishment, and the people, this isn't necessarily representative of what students at the moment are taking action on. Yeah. There's a lot of other issues.
You know what I've just done, Shelley? I've fallen into their trap.
Yeah.
I have imagined that OFOC, which actually, incidentally, FFS, everyone knows that's an acronym from the internet. Again, I looked it up today. Urban Dictionary, almost as useful as Wikipedia, I find. OFOC, can you remember what it stands for?
Of fairly something concern? No.
Not fairly. Overwhelming. Overwhelming, Shelley.
Overwhelming.
These guys are having overwhelming feelings. Overwhelming feelings of concern. Yeah, these guys.
There's a lot of feelings going on.
You think they should just get over it? You think it's an emotionally driven campaign and they should look at the hard facts?
Driven. I think there's a lot of
what do you think it's driven by?
If you've got your head office is at Millbank,
it's true.
That's prime.
I have to say, I agree. It's what they call an Astroturf campaign.
Yes.
Not grown from the roots, but I don't know. What do you do with Astroturf?
Made to look like it is.
Made to look like it is, but sort of rolled out for the correct fee.
Yes.
However much it costs to Astroturf your garden.
Like this plant.
Like that plant, yeah.
It's made to look like the real deal, but
that plant's small and cheap though, whereas OFOC has quite a large impact.
It's linked to.
Their impact today was via billboards. Can we get that billboard?
Yes, the billboards. Here we go. Featuring Jacob Rees-Mogg.
All right, describe the billboard in case anyone's listening as a podcast.
We've got Jacob Rees-Mogg, and then in his pocket of his jacket we've got a little doll-like John McDonnell, and it says "Found in Jacob Rees-Mogg's pocket, phone, wallet, John McDonnell." Now, as soon as I saw this billboard, it reminded me. We talked about Love Island. I don't know if you ever watched Britain's Got Talent, but there was this guy on there. I can't remember his name. He did a song about losing your phone, losing your key, and it was like, "Have you ever been in that situation where you lost your keys and your mobile phone? Oh, where's my keys? Oh, where's my phone?" And I just suddenly thought, "Oh, where's my John McDonald?" And that's
come on, let's relive Unite Karaoke. So
it's about John McDonnell being in his pocket because he's backing a hard Brexit, and that's gone up in John McDonnell's constituency. Yeah,
in Hayes and Harlington, which voted Leave apparently.
I'm not sure everyone knows who.
I thought that said hashtag fuck the young, but it says hashtag back the young, which makes more sense.
They've
got some real professionals organising this movement.
You don't use two hashtags though, do you?
Well, you can if you want. It's the Astroturf movement. You need you make up for people with hashtags.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's how long these billboards are up for or how much coverage they're going to get, but
yeah. Well, I suppose the thing about them, basically, so they're saying this is to try and put pressure on the Labour Party leadership to have a different position on Brexit via lobbying their constituents in UK parliamentary democracy. That's how you're supposed to make change. You lobby constituents, they lobby their MP. Very, very legitimate, whatever. But if you look at these posters and you look at the project, it really doesn't seem like their prime interest is to lobby these particular MPs about this particular issue. It looks like this is probably more for the national stage, where they are trying to present that there's a split in the Labour Party, and basically they know that the leadership of the Labour Party, it's quite difficult to critique them. Obviously, they used to critique them by the fact they were going to lose, and they didn't lose. It was actually just a conspiracy made by John McDonnell, to make the media underestimate them, to make them look silly, ultimately. I think maybe Alex Nuns was in on it.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, because he was always getting the evidence at the right time, ready to throw it back in their faces.
He was in the right WhatsApp group.
Not that there's a WhatsApp group,
No.
Shelley.
I think you're in it now.
I'm not in any WhatsApp group. Never even heard of WhatsApp in my life. Don't know what it is. I'm
It's
just
on
sitting
Wikipedia.
I'm just sitting here watching Love Island. I'll Wikipedia it when I get home. So yeah, the idea of this is to make it look like there's a culture war between the young and the old.
Yes, it's very built on a generational divide, isn't it?
Yeah,
Back the young.
You know what I'm going to call it?
Not
Ageist.
back the NHS or back the... Yeah, it's ageist.
I'm going to call it ageist because they've looked at the left-wing leadership of the Labour Party, and they've said people like their politics. What else do Diane Abbott, Jeremy Corbyn, and John McDonnell have in common? They're kind of old.
Right.
I think this is discrimination.
Okay.
I'm boycotting.
They've gone for
OFOC.
another MP as well, though. They've gone for Nia Griffiths or someone
why
else.
did they go for
Who
Nia
else have they gone
Griffiths?
for? I don't think they've necessarily just gone for older MPs.
I think they went for Nia Griffiths to make it seem like it wasn't factional.
Oh, right, maybe. I don't
So
know if
it's
they're
sort of like
looking
we
at the
can't just go for the
type
big
of
three because
seat or... Yeah, maybe.
maybe she's in a Remain seat, but as we said, John McDonnell isn't. Some people have bought it though. I was disappointed by... Well, I mean, there was a couple of shit articles in The Guardian today, but we can't just dedicate Navarra to
No.
showing shit comment pieces
No, all we do is give it...
in The
legitimacy.
Guardian. But we are going to do that.
Okay. So what did you see in The Guardian?
But with one instead of two. What I was saying is I could have done a big list of all the shit paragraphs that got written in The Guardian today, but I decided that would not be worth it. This was written by Zoe Williams, who I respect. I think she's a great writer, good activist. But I feel like she really bought this line. So this is a quote from her piece. Bollocks to Brexit stickers were everywhere. Activists from Our Future, Our Choice brought a banner saying stop backing Brexit and were met with a range of responses. According to its spokesman, Callum Milbank. Ooh. From the strong support of the young to the "you lot are childish wankers" evaluation of the old. So this, I mean...
Did anyone really go around saying you lot are childish wankers?
Well, also, you were there. Did it seem like everyone that was young at Labour Live was sort of really upset with Jeremy Corbyn because he hadn't backed blocking Article 50 and everyone old was like, yeah, bring on Brexit?
From what I could see, it was a very young audience at Labour Live. But if you look at the photos, there's like older people that have like obviously been there for hours, right at the front of the stage, like waiting for Jeremy to come on.
I thought you were going to say waiting for Clean Bandit to come on.
Or maybe both. Maybe Jeremy was a little warm up for them, but no. And I think you're right. It's ageist. It's just a false dichotomy, isn't it? That young people are so not even that they're necessarily against Brexit, but they're so obsessed by it. It's the main thing concerning them, rather than jobs and insecurity and the cost of education and so on. I mean, we know from general polling that it's just not the case. So,
I mean, I think it's one of the most interesting ways of evaluating someone's politics or a political group, what their politics are, is to look at what division in society they are trying to exploit. And I don't say that in a problematic way, because obviously in my politics I'm trying to exploit a division between people who, class division. Well, I mean, it's not, we don't want to be reductive about it, but it's between the many and the few, to use a catchphrase that we like.
Yeah.
Whereas what sort of like the populist right are obviously trying to do is make a division between people of a particular ethnicity or people with particular status or with a particular sort of moral grounding is sort of like the argument they're trying to make. And with, say like OFOC, or OFOC off. They shouldn't have called themselves OFOC off. So that was bad branding for someone potentially funded by Peter Mandelson. I don't know. I just made that up. Don't sue me.
But you said potentially.
I think you can't sue someone if they didn't claim it was fact, because that would be... I mean, you get screwed over every time you wrote.
I think you guys would be in trouble.
Anyway, I'm sure we'll be fine. Maybe he funded it. Maybe
no, it's a strange name though, because anything to do with choice, I always think of it as a pro-choice campaign. So I don't think the name of it necessarily reveals what it's about.
Well, obviously, choice is one of those words, isn't it? So
Yeah.
it's sort of like if you're going to make for one, I suppose, to finish that point, they're trying to make this division between the young and the old,
Yes, yeah.
which is a sort of really bizarre division to try and make if you're on the left. That's obviously not a way to sort of like build a progressive society,
No.
to start some weird age war. Just like in the same way that what the Economist and sort of like the Chucker type people like to make a distinction between is people who want an open society and people who want a closed society, which is totally buying into the populism of your Aaron Banks or whatever. They love the left to dig down into we are for an open society. I mean, obviously I'm for an open society, but not in that. It doesn't define my politics in the way that they want it to define theirs. Chris Leslie came out today. Did you see that?
No, what's he done?
Chris Leslie he did a speech at the Social Market Foundation.
Right, okay.
About
I've mostly had the football on today, I have to say.
reinventing the centre.
Okay.
With exactly the same arguments that were made in that small book, The Third Way, in the early 1990s. But I suppose to connect that into it, he's put like a bunch of really uncontroversial, bland policies in a list and said sort of like, this is what we're for. And it's like, yeah, but how are you dividing society? Sort of like, what's the block you're trying to build? And ultimately, it's like the sensible, outward-looking people versus sort of like the stupid populists. Closed-minded, stupid potentially, yeah. I mean, it's Chris Leslie. His priority was for Labour to appeal to subscribers to Which magazine.
What?
Yeah. That was in 2015. Did you not see that? So that was when he was Shadow Chancellor.
Right.
Which is sort of like some credentials he's been playing off for years, ever since he was Shadow Chancellor for 2 weeks. And I think all he did in that 2 weeks was say, actually, we were totally wrong, austerity was really great. And then he also said Labour's priority should be to appeal to people who read Which magazine.
I don't know anyone that reads Which magazine.
Well, actually, this is another thing I looked up on Wikipedia today, Shelley. Guess the circulation of Which magazine.
Ooh. Is it surprisingly high?
It wouldn't win you an election, but it's quite high. 500,000.
No.
Yeah,
wow.
Just to tell you what product.
It's not given away for free, is it?
No, you have to be a member of some sort of like consumer rights society / organisation. I can't remember what it's called.
That's quite impressive. But it's not going to win you an election.
Yeah, I mean, also if you want to start an age war, and you want your side to be the young ones.
Yeah, I mean, young people don't read magazines anymore.
Well, Which magazine's
magazines
going to die? I mean, people use the internet.
Yeah.
Sell shares in Which. Sorry, guys. Nothing against you personally, but your business model's broke. I wonder how many people tuned in, especially for Love Island commentary.
Tonight, yeah.
Yeah, I want to hear in the comments if you don't actually really like left politics or Novara Media, but you were like, these guys on the internet for once are going to talk about
Or maybe you do like left
Love
politics.
Island. I mean, you can, no, but I mean, I think a lot of people like both.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, a shout out if you like Love Island more than
Brexit.
Yeah, or if you care about Love Island more than you care about Brexit.
Which probably more young people do, dare I say it.
Love Island and Brexit.
No, I'm only joking.
I don't know. We also don't want to make our argument the one
no.
that sort of like people don't really care about politics, because people do care about
politics.
Of course
they do.
But when someone's so passionate about the single market over every other issue,
yeah,
I get suspicious.
No, I don't want to say. Obviously, Hayley from Love Island. People might have seen the sort of video that went viral with her asking what Brexit is.
Yeah.
That's obviously not representative of young people.
She's a superstar. I love Hayley.
All
right, before we chat all this bullshit about the different characters, which is gonna confuse you and it's gonna alienate you if you don't watch Love Island, and there's nothing we hate more than being exclusionary.
No, we don't.
So we are going to explain from the very beginning
for the many.
What the fuck Love Island is.
Yes.
You're going to do that actually, Shelley.
Blimey. So Love Island is a show.
All good stuff.
Whereby, so it starts off with 5 guys, 5 girls. I think it's 5 anyway. Group of guys, group of girls, all of whom are straight, and they are essentially forced to couple up with each other. And the aim of the game is you have to be in the most kind of believable, or the public have to like you as a couple more than anyone else. And I think it's 50k you can win at the end of it.
Yeah, you have to split it. 25k each.
Yeah. So yes, you're trying to find someone in there that you like, that you kind of want to be your other half when you get out. And some of them have managed to find someone already. It's been, what, a week and a half, 2 weeks?
Yeah, it's been a couple of weeks.
Some of them are still
it feels like forever,
looking
doesn't
for
it?
love. It does. No, I'm sure if you're in there, it probably does.
Yeah, I can't imagine life before Love
They've got to
Island.
sleep in the same bed as each other, as their couple, every night. And they're not allowed to leave. They're not allowed to interact with the outside world, no social media or anything like that. So, yeah, people say it's like a cross between Big Brother and Take Me Out.
That's exactly what it is, actually.
Yeah, a
cross
bit like
between
that.
Big Brother and
Yeah.
Take Me Out. And
It gets a bit racier than Take Me Out does, though.
Well, because Take Me Out, you don't see the date's sort of like squidged into 5 seconds
just
at
like
the end, isn't it? It's
day
not the
out,
main.
isn't it? Yeah,
It's not the main
you
theme
don't
of the
sleep
show.
in a bed necessarily.
Invictus says the show kills brain cells. I don't think you've given it enough time, Invictus. I think you should sit down, watch it. Like open your mind.
Yeah.
Because there's some real interesting things going on there.
I think there's an argument that it nurtures the brain, because you do need, after a tough day at work, you need to switch off, relax, watch something that's absolute escapism, kind of not particularly intellectually challenging.
Invictus is not going to take this, so he's gone for that show kills brain cells. I've tried to explain that it's actually really interesting, and he said, will the Lord's vote take down the PM this week? I don't know, mate, because I've been watching the football in Love Island. But maybe I'll be able to tell you tomorrow.
We'll get Invictus on next week to talk about that.
Yeah. Victus, you come on, we'll talk about the Lords. I'll watch Love Island. Have a evening off. Evening off. All right, interesting things about Love Island.
Yes.
One, it's huge, so 3 million people watch it every night.
Wow, that many? Every night?
Well,
is that not including catch-up? That's a lot.
Yeah, well, so the first
That's more
episode,
than Read Which
was
magazine.
watched by 3.4. That's 6 times more than Which magazine. So the Labour Party should really be going for Love Island viewers.
Yeah. Well, Jeremy Corbyn did endorse one last year. Do you remember?
I
don't know
I wasn't
who
involved in
advised
Love
him
Island
on
last
it.
year.
Right.
I didn't watch it at all.
Some journalist sort of went up to him,
I was
like,
a bit
Jeremy,
like
who you
Invictus
backing? And
last
he
year.
said, Marcel, or he's the one to look out for, something like that. Anyway, the guy that was in a Blazing Squad. That's it. So yeah, so I suppose they are reaching out a little bit.
Yeah. Right.
Interesting things.
Issues about it, right?
Issues.
So, some of the commentary has called it problematic.
Hashtag problematic.
Because everyone is very traditionally hot.
Yeah.
So
I think
everyone's
it's
got
interesting because they
super-toned
spend a
bodies.
lot of time talking about, I don't know if he's my type, don't know if she's my type. They're all the same type. I was watching my friend the other day and she was like, it would be so much more interesting if like some metal kids came on, throw some emos in there, people with like some piercings and...
Yeah, no, it's true.
But they're all the same type, aren't they? They're all ripped. They're all objectively beautiful.
Can we get up some of the Love Island cast on the screen, please? So,
and they all walk around all day without many clothes on.
Yeah, so because the nature of the show, obviously there's nothing to do in this house.
It's probably going to be some bikinis.
And they're there for 24 hours a day. All they have to do is talk about which one they fancy.
Yeah.
So obviously the producers of the show are smart. They've set it up in little skimpy shorts.
Yeah.
Talking about which of the other half they fancy or whatever.
Oh, here we go. So this is Alex on the left.
Alex is a junior doctor.
Who I think is on the left.
All right, explain Alex, because he's the public's
so
favourite character, probably.
Yeah, Alex is very popular. He was up for a eviction, I suppose they could call it, this week, because he's failed to actually find love in there so far. He's not had any girls be interested in him, despite, he's had a few attempts and been a bit knocked back. So he's in a couple with someone he's just sort of friends with. But he was up for the vote and the public saved him. So everyone's kind of rooting for Alex to find someone now. And I think if you're a girl going into the show now, because they had people every few days, they had more girls and more guys, you would want to couple up with him because you could see that he's obviously loved.
We've got another conspiracy.
Oh, is that right?
Tom Paganhandle says apparently they aren't even on an island.
Oh.
And Tom Violence SA has come in and said more of a peninsula. Can you explain?
Well, they're in Mallorca, aren't they?
Yeah, Mallorca's a real life island.
They're in a villa though, and it's a villa that I suppose is meant to be the island that they don't leave.
Oh yeah, because it's supposed to be trapped on an island. Yeah, so it's a peninsula on an island.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
I mean, maybe ultimately, do we all live on islands?
In a post-Brexit world.
Yeah, I mean, if you just go far enough away, there's going to be the sea on every side. Alex is a good example of sort of like the bizarre body standards on the show, because you just saw him.
Because he obviously is very attractive. He's got a good body, right?
Yeah.
But
he goes to the gym. He's tall. He's hot. He's a junior doctor.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have a great tan.
No.
And he said sort of like in the first week that he felt like a leper.
Oh yeah, he did.
Because
no one was
because no one wanted to kiss him.
Oh no, because
even
he leaned
during
in for
games.
a kiss and she sort of moved away. Oh, it was sad.
That was Hayley though. She's just being honest. Hayley is the fuck off one.
Yeah. So Hayley got kicked.
She didn't know what Brexit was.
And she also asked the other day, "Is Essex a continent?"
Yeah,
So
she
you
thought.
saw that.
Yeah, she didn't know if Essex was a. But I think she was just mixing up the words continent and county.
Yeah, maybe.
So I think her geography was solid, and it was
Yeah.
just a problem with labelling,
Yeah.
which I think is
I don't
one of the
blame her.
more mundane elements of human intelligence.
You're so determined to
Yeah,
back her
because the
up.
important thing is to sort of like be able to understand the world, like picture it, see the connections. And if you get the words wrong, that doesn't really matter to me.
No,
She gets the words wrong, but she gets it. She really understands it.
I'm sure. And everyone in there is from Essex, so I think it's probably a bit confusing.
Well, everyone's from Essex or Newcastle or...
Well, she was from Liverpool.
She's from Liverpool.
Yeah.
And some are from the home counties.
Yes. Essex is a home county, no?
Do you think it's problematic that it is enforced heterosexuality? Everyone is straight.
They are.
You have to constantly pair up.
Well, I assume they're all straight. No one really says that. I mean, some of them could be bi or whatever, but they obviously all have to couple up with a girl and a guy. So
They could be bi, actually,
it is
couldn't they?
enforced, isn't it? I mean, yeah, but I think if you're going to do it any other way, you'd need to have a standalone show that was just gay people, wouldn't you? Because otherwise you'd be more sectioned off into who you could actually couple up with. Unless they had maybe like a villa next door.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen this critique loads, and I don't think it holds. I say I've seen this critique loads because I've been listening to podcasts about Love Island all weekend. And
So
they're
what do
all
you
going on
reckon?
about this enforced heteronormity. And I'm like, it wouldn't work with if you didn't have everyone that was...
Yeah.
if you just put two gay people in there, there's loads of pressure for them to get
Yeah.
together. It wouldn't fucking work. Can we get up the tweet at the bottom of the script? Because I find this very interesting in terms of what Love Island teaches people about dating. It's by someone called Sam Lazim.
Okay.
And it is... So on the left, you've got Alex, who's the junior doctor. Smart guy. Can't tan, but pretty fucking attractive. And on the right, you've got Adam,
Yes.
who's a personal trainer, very tanned, perfect body, absolutely ripped stomach. And the girls love him. And so this tweet says, advice for girls, always pick an Alex, not an Adam, because Adam will screw you over. Alex will be nice to you, even if you are more attracted to Adam's abs. And then this quote tweet, which has got 51,000 likes, says, reality is girls will always walk over someone who's as nice as that Alex and just take advantage of them. Meanwhile, if you're a cocky, arrogant prick like that Adam, you'll have girls falling at your feet. But the funny thing is, then birds complain about all lads being the same. What do you think about that?
I think it's fair, isn't it?
It's obviously hit a nerve on
There's
Twitter.
a lot of girls that have gone in there and have fancied Adam, and he has sort of... There's been a stream of girls now that he's messed around in the space of a week and a half. But I think it's just the type of people that are going in there, isn't it? They haven't really put anyone in there for Alex that's going to really appreciate him.
We thought it was going to be the government civil servant, but then she
Yes.
fancies Adam like everyone fucking else.
Yeah, so they put someone in there who said she's a government advisor. Obviously, we looked her up on LinkedIn. She advises the government on education policy. I just don't think it's a match, is it?
All right, I'm going for some of the conversation, for some of the questions.
What have we got?
John Kearns has said, should we expect the conversation to deepen? Give us a topic, mate. Or you should get into Love Island because it's an important show. There is enough young people out there with body image issues. These types of shows give it a false and unhealthy view.
I think that's fair. I think it would be more interesting if there was people in there with different body types. Like I said, they're all the same type.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's something... So when obviously I've been watching it since the first episode. And I think in the first episode, there's very much sort of like you watched it and they were picking people very much based on sort of like how many of their
completely
abs you
based
could
on
see.
yeah.
And so I think people would watch it and they'd think sort of like, shit, I need to go to the gym, or shit, I'm miserable. And then sort of like after a week, you realise it's the most shallow ones who are actually the most miserable. And it's the girl who's happiest is the girl who went for the guy whose abs you can't actually see.
No, he's the only one who's kind of got a more realistic body type. That's Jack.
And he's the happiest in the house.
Yeah, and he's lovely.
Deep lesson.
Yeah. But then he has got quite fake teeth, though. That's not realistic, I don't think. You know, the
His
really,
teeth
really
are
white
whiter
teeth.
than they could be. But I mean, why not whiten your teeth? I've often thought about it. My teeth are quite yellow.
It as well.
I think
You
it's
look
'cause
lovely.
I think it's because I drink quite a lot of black coffee.
Oh, okay. You should drink it through a straw. That's the top tip.
Oloren SJ. Sorry, I tried to read it as one word. Says, why is UK TV so bad at representing LGBT? And then Tom Violence has said, particularly bad at the B and T bits, IMO. Do you agree?
I think that's fair. Absolutely.
I think it's getting better, actually.
I don't know if Love Island's definitely going to be the show that kind of remedies that.
Reality TV's bad at it, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they should do an LGBT Love Island. I would watch it. I think it would be very good.
I think it'd be really popular.
Yeah, we'll suggest that.
Definitely. I think beyond the LGBT community as well.
Oh, this is good. Popular. I like this from Tom Violence. Opiate of... We should get you on, Tom Violence. I'm liking all of your comments today. Opiate of the masses was never a pejorative term. Opiates in Marx's time were seen as pretty good.
We need to get him on to do a Marxist analysis.
I like that. Why don't they do the show on the Isle of Man? Hard for people to show off bodies when you're freezing your knackers off. That's true.
Yeah,
that's quite inclusive.
That could be like a cosy version.
I think like the woke version of Love Island, you do
on
it
the Isle of Man,
somewhere pretty.
Isle of Wight, maybe.
Cold.
Any of the isles.
The Scilly Isles.
Yeah.
So long as it's cold, you're pretty much sorted. All right, you can give us a question about anything that happened in politics. Why don't? Oh, we've already fucking seen that one, haven't we?
People are engaging with the Love Island banter, though. It's good.
Heterosexuality is messed up, IMO.
It's messed up.
Discuss.
I don't know if I'm the best person to discuss that.
Oh, this is good. Who should take the chair of BBC Question Time?
Oh, that is good, isn't it? We were talking a bit about that earlier as well. So I've heard that Andrew Neil wants to do it. You suggested Claudia Winkleman, didn't you? Which I think
Aaron suggested Claudia Winkleman.
absolutely
I think
hilarious.
I'd quite like the woman who hosts Love Island.
I said,
She's
Victoria
so
Corrin. Is it Corrin, the one from Only Connect, the poker player?
I've never seen
I really
Only
like
Connect,
her.
so I don't know.
Yeah, that's who I want to do it.
I would put my money on Kathy Newman.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Isn't she the one who went into the mosque and said they tried to chuck her out?
Yeah, but you don't need to be an honest person to work
no,
for the BBC,
not
do you?
necessarily. No. I mean, if we want it to be somebody kind of progressive or whatever, I don't know. Who would we want? Who would we ideally want?
Who would we ideally want?
Well,
if
that's
we could
obviously not
choose
what they've
anyone.
asked, but yeah.
That's quite a good question, actually. If you could have anyone host Question Time.
I know Max Shanley's claimed that it is going to be him.
Yeah,
which I would love
I think
to
Max
see.
Shanley would be good. Yeah, we'll go for Shanley. I often take the first suggestion. It's a sign of a critical mind.
But no, I've got no idea who it's going to be honest with you. I wonder if they're taking bets.
What about Bradley Walsh? I don't know who the fuck Bradley Walsh is. Heterosexual sex is boring,
Flack.
says Jay. Which is an interesting take. I wouldn't know. Jonathan Pye is doing Question Time. No, he's too fucking annoying. We're not going to let that happen. Jon Snow would be fine.
Oh, I love Jon Snow, yeah. No, he'd be good, but we think it's probably going to be a woman, don't we?
Yeah, we think it's probably going to be a woman.
Yeah, after Doctor Who.
All right, we've done Love Island.
Love Island.
Tell me what you think is the most significant television show of your lifetime in terms of its cultural impact on society, how people live, how people learn, how people love.
Blimey, that's a deep question.
That's a difficult question, isn't it? I should have given you that in advance.
Yeah. EastEnders.
EastEnders, probably EastEnders. They do try,
I don't know.
they?
Its impact on our lives.
Yeah.
Is there something really obvious that I'm not thinking of?
The news, yeah.
The news, yeah.
Lewis has just said the news. That really changed the fucking game. The fucking news.
Is that a TV show though?
Yeah, it's on every day, mate.
Yeah, I
It's
don't.
on all
I,
the time.
I guess I was thinking in my head like some sort of entertainment rather than non-entertainment.
Oh, Oliver Foster says you are doing a superb job of policing your respective sexualities. That's interesting. How do you mean? Expand. They're not expanding.
No.
I don't like Queer Eye. Someone just asked about it.
Oh.
Do you like Queer Eye?
I haven't seen much of it. I watched it years and years ago when it was first on. But it's making a comeback, hasn't it? Or it's made a comeback.
It has
Is that
made a
right?
bit of a comeback.
Yeah. But I think that's necessarily what people were talking about earlier with the B and the T.
I don't like Queer Eye, the straight guy.
You don't?
No, I think it's really boring.
Okay.
I don't think it's at all like Love Island. I don't think there's any
Oh,
drama.
it's not like Love Island.
I think all they do is they just tell people that you can make your life better if you buy a new shirt, and I don't think that's true. I actually think sorting out your life's a bit more complicated than that.
But that's what they keep telling Alex on Love Island, don't they? Don't wear that T-shirt, don't wear that shirt.
And it hasn't worked, has it?
No,
I think
it
what he
hasn't
needs to do
really
is leave
worked.
the island and meet some people who have more political opinions, more professional jobs, probably. I mean,
Yeah.
they just have different lives.
So whatever sexuality you are.
Whatever
it's more
sexuality
than
you
a
are,
shirt.
just, yeah. Man should just get on Tinder. But I suppose you can't make 25k if you stay on Tinder long enough. Lord, I have tried.
Oh. What were you doing on there? Or trying to do?
Well, what does everyone try to do on there?
Making money out
To
of
be
it?
honest, I wasn't trying to make 25k. No, I was just,
Oh, right. Just
just
trying to
hanging
meet
out,
someone.
waiting for someone to give me some money. They never
Yeah.
did.
I think Tinder's probably not the website that you want if you're looking for a bit of cash.
Looking for a bit of cash. All right, we're
Do you
going to
know what I
finish
mean?
on because you are Unite Supremo.
Don't know about that.
We're going to move to the fucking trade union movement.
Okay, great.
Is it on the up?
I hope so. Do you know, we had a really great session at Labour Live on Saturday. It kicked off the Solidarity tent.
Yeah.
And we had 4 women from the TGI Friday strike. And we had 2 of the comrades from the MUC strike as well.
Yeah.
Talking about their disputes, talking about kind of the struggles they've been through, what's next. And it was just really, really inspiring, especially the TGI Friday women who kind of haven't come from a political background at all. Have just sort of been, some of them been working for the company for like 6 years. Joined the union, been obviously really pissed off about the fact that their tips have been stolen by the company. And it was just, they gave really passionate speeches, and it really did inspire me and made me think, you know, I think there is something going on here where unions are...
And what's their campaign,
appealing.
the TGI Friday people? It's because they're nicking their tips, or is it?
Yeah, so
for a living
40%
wage
of
as
the
well?
tips from the front of house staff are being diverted into the kitchen staff's wages to subsidise the fact that the company won't give the
Fucking hell,
kitchen
it's
staff a pay
subsidising their
rise.
wages.
Well, subsidising the fact that they're paying them absolute minimum kind of really low wages.
Okay.
They asked for a pay rise and it was refused. So the strike is about fair pay and fair tips. You know, the fact that everybody should be getting decent tips and decent pay rather than dividing the workforce in this sort of way. So I hope that the union movement is on the up. I believe it is. I think we've got some fantastic young people coming through. I know that in the last year, industrial action in the private sector was at a high for the last 10 years or so, maybe even 20 years. So I've got faith, but then I'll have to.
Do you think the union movement should go into reality TV? Because I feel like it doesn't have enough
How would that work?
popular understanding of what it means to be part of a trade union.
Well, that's
I feel
why I'm
like-
hoping that Alex at some point is going to talk about being a union activist
I
on
think
Love
you might be
Island.
waiting a while, babe. Because I mean, he's desperately trying to find someone to fall in love with, and they don't like him because he's deep. They literally say, "I don't." Haley, my favourite,
Yeah.
said she didn't kiss him because he had a professional job.
job. It's sad, isn't it?
Yeah. What would I think there's something in this, the idea of a trade union reality TV show.
I don't understand how this would work.
So you'd put a bunch of people in a fake workplace. Obviously, it'd have to be fake.
This sounds like Paris Hilton.
And then you'd have a sort of like prisoner's dilemma kind of vibe. So
Right.
to win, you have to have sort of like 80% of the contestants go on strike. You win something significant like 25k.
Right.
And then you can have sort of like the 20% where if they bail, you know, you say if you break the contract of the union contract, you get, you know, like a bigger percentage of the money. And then if anyone breaks the contract, they don't get anything and you say, yeah, because if you break the fucking strike, you don't get anything, and there can only be one series, because
Right.
once you've worked
and
out
then they
how
all
the
win
game...
the winnings at the end because it's
Well, no,
obviously
because they probably all
collectivism.
lose. Well, there can only be one series because you find out what's going to happen in the second series, because if you break the strike, none of you get anything. So the game is you tell people, if you don't break the strike, you'll all get a fair share of 25k. If you do break it, you'll get 10k. But if it's like the prisoner's dilemma.
Yeah.
But then they
I'm
break it
following
and they
you
don't
now.
get anything, and then the lesson is don't break the strike
strike.
because you won't get anything. You can't. I think it'd be a great show.
I think you should pitch it
I think
to
it would
all
really
the relevant
popularise
producers.
the trade unions. It can be body positive. It can be LGBT
I think
inclusive.
what popularises trade unions more is publicity about us actually winning in the workplace.
That's probably fucking true.
But I would watch that show.
All right, we're going to take a couple more questions.
Cool.
And then we're going to head off, I think, because it's very late. We started the show late today. Right. How could they, as unions have been and continue to be vilified in the media? Oh, that's quite a good question.
Yeah, it's fair.
But how do they? What's the answer?
We are vilified in the media. It's a tough one. I think we have to... it's cheesy cliche, but we have to be our own media, and in terms of getting people to spread the word about unions amongst their friends and colleagues and co-workers. Also platforms like Novara. If you're not a subscriber yet, sign up to be one. I joined a few months ago actually, and started paying a little subs.
Oh, excellent. Support.novaramedia.com. Sign up, donate however much you can afford.
Yeah, it only has to be a few quid.
And when you do, you get invited to our monthly live podcasts. Last time we had free beer, which wasn't bought by the Novara bank account, but it was left over from a local election. So maybe you'll get lucky and there'll be free beer again. Maybe there won't. Maybe we'll sell it. That's also quite a good money-making idea. But anyway, support.novaramedia.com. Donate however much you can. And we'll see you at the live podcast every month. Sorry, I interrupted you with that shout out for money.
It was perfect. Because it's not just a trade union movement, it's the wider left, and we've got to do what we can.
What do you think about the Morning Star?
I think
it's
great.
Is that getting it out? How could that...
I think it's had a rebrand recently. I really like the new logo. They've got some great new journalists from people that I know work for them. They've got a great Scotland correspondent in Conrad Landon in particular.
Oh, Conrad Landon.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Morning Star.
All right, let's see.
As well as Novara.
Han Dodger says, don't be a scab. True. Patrick Holt says, it's perfectly sensible not to talk about things outside your experience. Presumably he was responding to someone, otherwise that's really out of the blue.
I think it's fair enough. Leave it to those with the lived experience.
Yeah, leave it to... I mean, we haven't been on Love Island, but we could talk about it, but we have watched it. Children's unions like Bolivia. Ooh, do you know about that?
No. Fill me in.
Well, neither do I. It's classic Jack Glover that does.
Children's unions. I'll have to go and do my research on that. We could do another Tisky Sour on that. Is that how you pronounce it, Tisky? Or
Tisky
is it
Sour,
Tisky?
yeah. No, it's Tisky Sour. I made that face because I was looking at this very confusing question.
Okay. How
do unions help people who don't want labour value as exploitation or die?
Who don't want labour
Jay,
value?
you might have to clarify yourself there because I'm not quite...
Like
good.
It's like some words put together.
I.e., how do unions stay relevant if we don't want to work? Yes, mate. Sorry, I misunderstood the first question.
That's
very
one
reasonable
for
question.
You, isn't it? Because that's what
fully
the
automated
whole,
luxury communism.
Exactly, is all about, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. How do unions stay relevant if we don't want to work? I mean, I think that's probably one of the key questions of the left, because the point is that, and it's not just if we don't want to work, it's how do you organise if the power you have as the working class or the masses or whatever is not so much in the workplace. I mean, obviously, if businesses are less dependent on workers, then that gives people less power as labour, because they're less needed. I mean, you can't, obviously, most industries still need lots of workers, and those workers should be organised, and they should go on strike to demand higher wages. But in theory, and I think if you look at the last 30 years, 40 years, probably in practice as well, automation and the idea that businesses can make themselves somewhat independent of, or more independent than they were in, say, the height of Fordism. They can make themselves more dependent of the voluntary work of, well, not voluntary, but of people turning up at work and working for a wage. And withholding your labour power under Fordism is an incredibly powerful action that can bring capitalism to a halt. I'm not saying it can't do that anymore, but it's all relative, and I think it is actually harder to do that now because capitalism and the valorization of capitalism is now less dependent on.
But also restrictive laws
workforce
on trade unions makes it harder as well. But I think regardless, there's ways where people, our class, has power outside the workforce as well. And I think some of the interesting stuff being done around like renters, I think the stuff that my union's doing with Unite Community and people that are out of work and organising them is really important as well. So I don't really know if that answers the question, but
I think it starts to. I mean, and this is why I'd sometimes get called a liberal, I suppose. But I think you can. So I think like the classic Marxist way of thinking about sort of like political power is that you have power as a worker and you have power in the workplace, and I think that's definitely fucking significant. But there's often a critique of things like UBI, universal basic income, that come out of the idea that because you don't fight for it in the workplace, because you fight for it in the ballot box, sort of as citizens, not as workers, it's not genuinely going to empower the working class. And I think that sort of commits you to a slightly dogmatic idea of politics and how political change happens. And I do think that you can affect change as workers, but also as citizens.
We have to.
I mean, we'll especially have to if they don't have any jobs left for us because they've replaced us all with fucking machines.
Well, it has to be one of our priorities to fight for jobs, but yes.
Yeah, jobs, justice and citizen power.
Is that your campaign slogan right there?
Yeah, I'm going to get it tattooed.
Great.
I think that it's sort of vague.
That's your new billboard.
It's vague enough that I don't think I'll ever have to sort of
mean anything.
Well, go back on it, you know?
Yeah.
You know what?
Or deliver.
I don't know, jobs, justice, and what was this third one? Citizen power. Oh, that is really fucking vague, yeah. Kind of third way that is, isn't it? Oh, that could be the basis of Chris Leslie's new centrist movement.
I'm feeling it.
Jobs, justice, and citizen power.
You could be a new spin doctor.
Yeah, they got some money rolling around. I'd love to work in Millbank.
The Millbank. Not before I smash it up.
Develop your career, join a union. Most young people see a union as irrelevant to skill building and career development. Ooh, interesting.
As irrelevant to it.
Yeah. Anyway, something to do. People would call you a neoliberal, mate. I wouldn't. I think it's a interesting way of looking at it. But this idea that what a union should be there for and what collective action should be there for is for you to sort of like increase your own personal, social and human capital.
As an individual.
As an individual, I can imagine a sort of radical critique of that. I mean, I don't think it's something that should be dismissed, but just putting it there.
Yeah. It's like what the Education Secretary said when she spoke at NUT conference, I think it was last year.
Oh, was that her suggestion?
Like, well, it was more just like, why are you going on strike? Why aren't you advertising the fact that teaching is a great profession to the rest of society? Well, I mean, it's not either or, is it? But yeah, but you also aren't going to like advertise the fact that these people are struggling to like feed themselves.
Yeah, it's your job.
One of the toughest jobs in society.
It's your job as the government to make it seem like a good job.
Yeah.
You don't like the job of a union isn't to pretend you're all having a great time.
No.
It's to make sure you're having a good time.
Or to boost your CV.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's probably bad for your CV to be in a union, isn't it? People prefer to employ you if you're not. All right. We're going to finish.
It's been great.
It's been a dream. I've had a really nice evening with you, actually, watching the football, talking about their haircuts. There was that last-minute goal, which felt like a really good football World Cup moment. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Last-minute goals.
It was exhilarating. And then, obviously, Love Island.
And then, obviously
England
Love
won.
Island.
Alex got a kiss. It's going
to be beautiful.
You're a salt, as they say.
You're a salt. Oh, Pat H says, I wish Michael saw my comment about precarity. All my issues relate to it. Oh, fucking hell, I've got to scroll up now, mate.
Oh.
I'll do it next week. Tweet me, babe.
Yep.
All right, this was...
Precarity's a big issue, so...
Tiski Sour. Please go to support.novaramedia.com and donate some money once a month. Join the Novara Media family. Make this possible. Because, media don't come for free. And we're trying to build a new left-wing media establishment.
Absolutely.
So that we can build this worker power or citizen power or justice or whatever our new vague platform is.
Jobs for Mike.
Yeah. Support.novaramedia.com to give jobs to 10 people in London working for a media organisation because we don't have them yet. This was Tisky Sour. Thank you so much for joining me, Shelley.
It's a pleasure.
We'll get you
Thanks
back
for
soon.
having me.
See you next week, probably slightly earlier.
Yes. I don't know which camera I'm looking at.